JuJu Watkins reaches college basketball scoring milestone faster than Caitlin Clark. USC sophomore JuJu Watkins reached a career milestone faster than Indiana Fever star and Division I all-time leading scorer Caitlin Clark in the Trojans' 81-50 win over the Santa Clara Broncos on Friday at Galen Center. With 6:47 remaining in the third quarter, Watkins drained a jumper from the free throw line to extend the Trojans' lead to 18 points and give the sophomore guard 1,000 points in her college career. Watkins reached the mark in her 38th game, tied for the fourth fewest games in NCAA Division I history. Clark, who went on to become the all-time leading scorer in Division I women's basketball, and later the all-time leading scorer in Division I basketball, male or female, reached the milestone in 40 games. Watkins also achieved the feat quicker than any player in Trojans women's basketball history. "I'm not taking anything for granted," Watkins said after the game. "Very blessed to be in this position. This is great, something to build off and continue to work on." Watkins' coach, Lindsay Gottlieb, perhaps summed up best the company Watkins is joining with such an accomplishment. "When you break a record at USD, it hits a little different because the people you break the record from are so great," Gottlieb said. "JuJu belongs in that conversation, and we're all comfortable in saying it." It was the great Cheryl Miller who was next. Watkins cemented herself as an elite scorer when she dropped 51 points in a February 2024 game to help the Trojans upset the No. 4-ranked Stanford. Among the fastest to reach 1,000 career points, could Watkins next take aim at Clark's Division I record 3,951 points? USC star JuJu Watkins reaches 1,000-point mark faster than Caitlin Clark. At the end of a historically dominant week in which records were toppled and women's college basketball put on early notice, JuJu Watkins pulled up from behind the arc in Friday's game and bricked. She missed her next jumper too, then a layup, then another three. It was an uncharacteristically cold stretch considering the scorching week that had come before it for No. 3 USC. Watkins and her fellow Trojans had just exploded for a record 124 points in a win over Cal State Northridge. They'd won their last two by a combined margin of 140. But here was Santa Clara climbing back, cutting their lead to just a few points, as if to remind the Trojans it wouldn't always be easy. Watkins eventually connected on a mid-range jumper, pumping her fists as it fell, and USC eventually soared to another decisive non-conference win, 81-50. Along the way, Watkins once again reminded everyone of the rarefied air she already occupies in women's basketball. With USC pulling away, midway through the third quarter, she pump-faked at the top of the key, then made a jumper from the free throw line. The silky smooth finish was nothing out of the ordinary for Watkins, who scored 22 points. But the basket pushed her past the 1,000-point threshold, a milestone that no one at USC or in the Big Ten Conference ever reached as quickly as her. It took Watkins just 38 games to reach the mark, just one game slower than the NCAA record holders, Marie Jackson of Louisiana State, Carol Mencken of Oregon State, and Sandra Hodge of New Orleans, who all reached the mark in the late 1970s or early 80s. Even Caitlin Clark, the NCAA's all-time leader in points, took 2 more games than Watkins to reach 1,000. The historic pace didn't faze Watkins, who said she didn't take it for granted and was very blessed to be in the position to score so much, so fast. USC coach Lindsay Gottlieb assured anyone who'd listen, however, that this was not some ho-hum milestone. "It's always worth noting when you break a record at USC, it hits a little different, because the people that you're breaking the record from are so great, and JuJu belongs in that conversation," Gottlieb said. "I don't want to say we take her accolades for granted, but sometimes it's like, wow, she's 4 games into her sophomore year and has scored 1,000 points. It's really an incredible accomplishment." USC has had no trouble making the incredible look cavalier over the last week, ever since its narrow season-opening win over Mississippi. 3 blowout wins over Cal Poly, Cal State Northridge, and Santa Clara may not do much for the strength of schedule come NCAA tournament time, but Gottlieb said she challenged her team to use that stretch to try new things and learn what works with a new roster, all the while homing in on details that would come in handy later. "We're a work in progress," Gottlieb insisted. Forward Kiki Ariafin took that challenge to heart Friday when she found herself faced with regular double teams down low. "The paint was packed," she said, "so it let me step out a little more." And with her mid-range jumper falling, Ariafin contributed 20 points on 9 for 14 shooting. It was the sort of performance that showed how malleable USC's offense could be at its full potential, with Ariafin and Watkins able to score from anywhere on the floor. "We haven't had a post player who shoots it as well as she does," Gottlieb said of her senior forward. Watkins had yet to fully unlock her own outside shot through 3 games heading into Friday. She came into the game just 2 for 13 from three-point range, only to hit 3 from deep. That effort might not have led to an 85-point victory, like their last time out, nor did the Trojans score in triple digits for the 3rd straight game. But with Notre Dame looming next weekend, Watkins insisted there was plenty to learn from a week spent steamrolling opponents. "We continue to learn each other over the time we have. I think that's more valuable than anything," Watkins said. "Our chemistry will continue to grow. We're all kind of new together." Lois Angeles Lindsay Gottlieb learned, 5 years ago, not to micromanage, to avoid overcoaching. This was her first foray into the NBA, where loose offensive sets and general simplistic flow abounded. And when she first arrived in Cleveland as an assistant on John Beilein's staff, Gottlieb was confused as to when exactly the Cavaliers practiced. This was not college basketball, where Gottlieb had grown, spending the previous 8 seasons as the Cal women's head coach. After fall training camp, in the NBA, teams didn't much practice again. She was confused at first. "When do we go over scouting reports?" And my colleagues were like, "No, you gotta get better in the games," Gottlieb recounted Friday afternoon, after USC's 81-50 victory over Santa Clara. "Like, they have to evolve through games." For 2 years, Gottlieb has installed pro-style principles to both her offensive system and her culture at USC, a natural fit for a program teeming with pro-ready athletes. And for 2 weeks, since a slopfest of a 68-66 season-opening victory over Mississippi in Paris, USC has visibly evolved, though games during a 4-0 start as aspirations continue to build. The Trojans return to a cushy homestand, with games against 3 programs in Cal Poly, CSUN, and Santa Clara that Gottlieb praised but acknowledged USC had superior talent over. And she issued her players a challenge ahead of a showdown with 6th-ranked Notre Dame next Saturday. Did they want to simply show up, or did they want to improve in-game? "We're better than we were," Gottlieb asserted Friday afternoon when we got off the plane from Paris.